Was a good script, um, something different for me. Funny, hopefully, funny part, and the director and the actors and the location, all the usual things. Well, he's a real character. I mean, he's sort of eccentric person. The idea of these dueling morticians. It's a funny script. Sometimes you read a script and you laugh while you're reading it, and that's usually a good sign. It's a nice change for me because I play a lot of villains and darker kinds of things, and even though this is about the funeral business, I think it's quite funny. And the juxtaposition of me in Wales and in a small town with my big limousine and my revolutionary notions about how to do funerals. No, he's a character. When they say that, movies have characters, well, he's a real character. I mean, look at my hair. And I'm dressed as a rabbit for part of it. I have a musical number. And, yes, he's bringing themed funerals to this town.
Tus trailers.
And he's got all sorts of ideas about how to do funerals. Sometimes based on TV shows, Las Vegas musicals. We have Lee Evans and I have a number, sequined jackets and tap dancing. In order to do comedy, I think especially the atmosphere around the set has to be fun. I think it always has to be, but especially when you're doing something like this. So the feeling around the set has been very bright and funny. It's really about dueling morticians, and two different, with the old-fashioned way and the guy with the revolutionary ideas, and it all ties up nicely at the end with their friends, and he goes off and has a happy life, and I absorb his business and do very well, I hope. That'll be the sequel.
I thought it was a great script. It was very funny, it was different, it's very far-fetched, and you don't see many of those films that either sort of, well, unless you're going into those big action-packed things that are so far-fetched that it's just, I don't like them at all. And this is just sheer entertainment. It's funny, it's a lot of fun. She falls in love with a childhood sweetheart. Not a childhood sweetheart, somebody she was at school with, and she was too shy to make any advances, and he was too. And it's only because there's a death in the family, he's an undertaker, and it's only because there's a death in the family that she has to go and to see him, that flame is rekindled, and there's a spark. And there's dancing in it, and you get a chance to fantasize about dance, and that's nice. And to work with the likes of Alfred Molina and Christopher Walken, and Lee Evans, Robert Pugh, who plays my husband, is just so wonderful. I just love the rival scene I'm not in, actually, rival undertaker with Christopher Walken and Lee Evans at work. I won't see any more than that. You've got to go see the film. But it's hilariously funny. But I like all the bits. With Fred Molina, isn't he a wonderful actor? You have to have the audience sympathy. They have to understand the journey you're going on, no matter how ridiculous it is. It's like Saving Grace, for instance. Here's this woman's growing marijuana. It's a little bit far-fetched. It's law-abiding citizen, But if you understood her problem at the beginning, you're ready to cheer her on her way. And it's a little bit like that with this. You want Betty and Boris to fall in love, and they do. Oh, he's a masterclass. Every time I see him, he's so inventive, so real, even in the most extraordinary circumstances. And a kind man, and he's a gentleman, and he's very, very funny. I'd work with him on everything if I could.
Because you've got a
Well,
very
I want to
particular...
marry Alfred. I'm going to leave my fella, and I'm going to force him to leave. He's very, very happy in marriage. Oh, he's just gorgeous.
Hizo
I don't want the
visita
job
mi
to
canal.
end. And I've done a few stunts. Brenda Blathen, the magnificent stunt lady. I'm going to change my... Well, I had to... In the film, my character falls over a cliff. But of course, in reality, I can't do that. So I fell backwards about 6 foot onto a crash pad. But I had to hang for ages and ages. And the next day, I felt like Popeye, my muscles here. But I can't move my arms. And it was raining, and it was cold, and it was muddy. I thought, oh.
And it was a good script, and I've always liked the idea of working with directors that I haven't worked with before. You know, it's always I find it an interesting experience to kind of just work with new people and people that I don't know. Another reason, even though she's standing right behind me, another reason is working with Brenda, because I've been a big fan for a long time, and it's always nice to work with people that you admire, because you sort of, it's very it's very satisfying. You know, you work with the best people around, and when you get that chance, you can't really take it lightly and just think, oh well, you know, it's very important to do that and to hopefully keep doing it. It's a very, very sweet story in that respect. You know, and that's the other thing that appealed to me, was this wonderful idea of two people who, in terms of fulfillment and personal kind of fulfillment, there's a very strong sense that they're both coming around the block for maybe the last time, particularly in Boris's case, because he's on his own, and Betty is in this loveless, unsatisfying marriage, and there's this history that they've got between them that has been unresolved, and so there's a very romantic heart to the story, but it's also it's bittersweet as well. There's a kind of edge to it that's a little bit uncomfortable. You know, the older you get, the harder it is to sort of throw yourself into those kind of romantic gestures, like telling people you love them and pulling off some wonderfully deliciously romantic stunt, you know, that you can do when you're in your 20s. And I spent my 20s and 30s playing Eastern European thugs and the kind of the leading man's slightly stupid friend. And suddenly, just at the point in my life when I'm beginning to think about my favourite chair rather than my favourite position for sex, I'm now playing I'm now getting these kind of romantic parts, you know. So it's, which is great, you know. I love it. It's great to get the chance to kiss the girl. It's nice. Well, we got a great bunch of actors, you know, Christopher Walken, Lee Evans, and some wonderful Bob Pugh, you know, wonderful actors who are all very, very experienced and come with a real confidence and a sort of, and the great thing about this particular cast of actors, which is very, very nice, is that everybody really enjoys what they do. You know, we all love doing our job, so there's a great sense of fun and enjoyment every day. I suppose the most challenging thing would be the dancing. As Brenda and I we've got two or three big sequences where we dance, and it's a very integral part of the story, and it's all part of, you know, it's all part of the whole, you know, it's a big part of the story. And that was that kind of worried me a little bit. This is the first film I've had to dance in. It's the first film I've had to sing in. It's the first film I've had to bury people in. So it's a first all round.
Predominantly, most of the work I've done is been drama, and you know, very disturbed characters, and which I love doing. But I have done this short film that I made by myself and my friend that was fiercely comedic, and I know that I had done well in it and enjoyed it so much, but I'd never really gone in the direction of comedy professionally before. So So he said, you got to look at this script. It's fantastic. You will love it. Of course, I read it, and I felt exactly the same the minute I read it. Well, first of all, she's Welsh, and the whole story takes place in Wales, that was another thing that attracted me to it, because I spent some time as a kid in Wales, in North Wales, and my grandfather is Welsh, and my brother and I ended up living with my grandparents for 3 years in Anglesey. So I spoke Welsh, but her name is Meredith Menwerin, and she is very ambitious and is in a small town, and she's working for the councillor, and she just wants to get ahead, basically. And although it's incredibly farcical, there's something quite sweet about it as well, that, I think she does love him, and probably not necessarily for him, what he represents as a person, but where he might be able to take her. And she wants to be taken care of, and she's quite manipulative, and even though she's made out to be the tarty bimbo blonde, she's quite clever at getting what she wants. And that's another thing I've never done before. I seem to always get, if not the disturbed characters, the very sensible girl next door type characters. And so I've never had one that is pure sex, with breasts everywhere, hair everywhere, and, the shortest, tightest skirts. That's something I've never done before. And piling on the makeup every day. And so it's just, the minute I walk in onto the set, the character is assumed because of things like wardrobe and makeup. And that was another thing that attracted me quite immediately, which was the team of people. Brenda Blethyn, I loved her in Secrets and Lies, and it's one of my favorite films, and so I was very familiar with her work. And Alfred Molina and Christopher Walken, I thought that was a big draw card right there. That, firstly the material, and then and then that it had got such a great collection of people. That definitely attracted me. And the funny thing is I always thought, oh my God, I'll be the broad character here. She's a wacko. And then I got on set and I see all these other actors, and they are. I think they're all comedians at heart, but most of them do dramatic work as well, and probably most of the time. And so I think they were getting together and with this material just going for it. And so I thought, wow, I'm really going to have to, boost it up a little bit, because these guys are having, a lot of fun with it. So I need to do this too. But yeah, no, it's a good piece, and it's a feel-good movie. And I think everyone wants to laugh when they go see movies, and it's there's a degree of sentimentality as well, and it's that's what's great about it. Probably the revelation at the casket, but which again, every time an actor chooses to do a part, there's one thing usually that just goes, this is it. And because you can read the scenes leading up to something and you go, yeah. And then there's usually one place where you go, this is it. This is the reason to do this role. I burned to do it. And that scene in particular was the chosen one that made me think, this is why I have to play this part. It's just hysterical. You cannot quite believe what you see. But from an audience perspective, there's, one of the favorite parts I love in a movie is fantasy, and that you can think about another place and, how you're going to get there, and you can do that through dream or fantasy, and the dance stuff, to me, it's beautiful. I haven't seen it yet, but, whilst reading the script. And also, I shouldn't make out like it's just a sentimental feel-good movie, because it's a wacky, silly comedy. I mean, you've got actors like Christopher Walken in his hair. What is he doing looking like this? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And the costumes, and And, you know, these are great actors who are all just totally committed to this material. And it's really, I think, going to be great to watch. And it's amazing how you can see how dressing in a certain way affects people. Because the first day I came on set in one of these revealing outfits with my boobs everywhere and legs and hair out and everything, I just saw people's jaws drop like that. And, you know, I'd never really seen that before. Because, you know, I'm not actually, I mean, I'm quite a small-breasted person, but with tons of assistance through water bras, chicken fillets, pulling of corsets and pushing up, you know, I can, you know, give the illusion that I'm a large-breasted woman. And it's, you know, I've always had boyfriends tell me, you know, oh yeah, no, small-breasted women, I've always loved, no, hate big breasts, you know, and then you go out on the set and people are like, so it's, you know, they're liars. So it was quite embarrassing for me to have to do that. But again, because I am able to just stay in the character the whole time, I just pretend like I love it, you know, and it's absolutely second nature to me.